Children, this is one more continuation video of the short story for Standard 9 Literature, Hearts and Hands, written by O. Henry. So in the previous video, I explained you some parts where once we got that Mr. Easton said to Miss Fairchild during their conversation that my butterfly days are over, I fear. So listening to this, Miss Fairchild's eyes were shining softly. That means she was experiencing some tender feeling. And she looked out from the car's window. That means she didn't want to look directly at his face, but immediately she began speaking very normally and with some general conversation that why she was in Denver. So in this video, we will discuss the next part. Miss Fairchild continued that money is not everything, but people always misunderstand things and remain stupid. So first she said money is not everything. So here she is replying to Mr. Easton's previous reference to the ambassador. Previously, when Mr. Easton once said that though he is earning something, he is trying to live his life with some decent job, but he could not compare himself with the wealth of one ambassador. And I told you children that we can assume that ambassador might be one of the suitors of Miss Fairchild. So now then she said that but people always misunderstand things and remain stupid. So perhaps she meant to say that Mr. Easton is not taking the hint. She is quite interested in him. She's quite interested in him, but he is not responding to her because perhaps he did not realize that she is interested. So Miss Fairchild said, but people always misunderstand things and remain stupid. That means it was her desire that Mr. Easton should understand her feeling, but Mr. Easton could not. And it is like Mr. Easton might have not realized that she is interested. So next part, say Mr. Marshall, growled the glum-faced man, this is not quite fair. I am needing a drink and haven't had a smoke all day. Haven't you talked long enough? Take me in the smoker now, won't you? I am half dead for a pipe. The bound travelers rose to their feet, Easton with the same slow smile on his face. So then at this point, the actual marshal, that is that glum-faced man, realized that things are going too far. So he decided to interfere. And he said that he wanted to have pipe, like he wanted to smoke and he wanted to go out. And Easton really could not do anything. He had to obey the marshal. But as he got up, here it is said the bound travelers rose to their feet. So they got up, and as Easton got up, he had the same smile on his face as if he was trying to show everything is normal. So it is written Easton with the same slow smile on his face. Now coming to the next part. I can't deny a petition for tobacco, he said lightly. It's the one friend of the unfortunate. Goodbye, Miss Fairchild. Duty calls, you know. He held out his hand for a farewell. So while leaving, also Mr. Easton kept on pretending that he was the marshal and other one criminal. He said that duty calls, and then he just in a very formal way, he said goodbye in a very decent way, and they went. It is too bad you are not going east, she said, reclothing herself with manner and style. But you must go on to Leavenworth, I suppose. So she also reclothed herself with manner and style. Reclothed means she just arranged herself properly, and she also once again started speaking in an artificial and sophisticated manner. Now she was making polite conversation, and Easton also replied very politely that he must go on to Leavenworth. Here, it's too bad you were not going east, she said, reclothing herself. So understood, children, what I wanted to mean? That you must go on to Leavenworth, I suppose. So after that, Yes, said Mr. Easton. Yes, said Mr. Easton, I must go on Leavenworth. So in a very polite tone, he also said the same thing. The two men settled down the ale into the smoker. So they, both of them, left the vehicle. The two passengers in a seat nearby had heard most of the conversation, said one of them. That's Marshall's a good sort of chap. Some of these Western fellows are all right. Pretty young to hold an office like that, isn't he? Asked the other. So, there were two other passengers nearby. They heard the whole conversation. And one of them said that the marshal is of good nature. Then the other one said, pretty young to hold an office like that, isn't he? Asked the other. So the other fellow said, yes, but imagine he is so young and he is a marshal. Then you see, young, exclaimed the fast speaker. Why? Oh, didn't you catch on? Say, did you ever know an officer to handcuff a prisoner to his right hand? So the first speaker was surprised and told the second speaker, what do you mean by he was young? Are you trying to tell me that you didn't understand what was really happening? Tell me one thing. Then he said that did you ever know an officer to handcuff a prisoner to his right hand? So he is telling, tell me one thing. Do you know one police officer who would handcuff a prisoner to his right hand? That means police would never handcuff. See children, here is the twist. Police would never handcuff prisoner to his right hand. So the prisoner's right hand would be handcuffed with the marshal's left hand. So this is how they understood who in reality the prisoner and who was prisoner or criminal and who was the actual marshal. So I hope everyone understood this explanation. So now we will discuss some important part. Now in the next video I will discuss that.